I was rolling in my Lincoln.
Only thing rolling is that dang storm you have going on in the background there. All of our videos today will feature the occasional...
And the lightning strikes.
Yeah, Florida's not being kind today.
It is not. I didn't lose power, though, so I'm okay.
Today we are doing the JFK Book Tag, created by the #1 fan, very literary Carrie, who, when she films her videos, I don't know if you've watched her videos. I don't know if I've sent you a video link of hers. She's got bookshelves of just JFK. It's amazing. And again, if you are here to watch our video, thank you, welcome. But her video, when you're done with this one, she's got like all of this knowledge about JFK. It's fascinating. Now, Crypto, you're a history teacher. Are you big into JFK, or what is your experience with him?
I watched the movie. No. Yeah, I mean, of course, I've studied that time period in U.S. history and its implications, and I love how it's used in fiction as well. And being a history teacher and having standards set by the state of what you have to teach, we don't get to go into a lot of the detail, so I don't get to spend a lot of my teaching time. Thus, I won't invest a lot of my free time when making lesson plans on the JFK assassination and his life and everything. I mentioned a few, fun little tidbits about him in World War II, kind of the highlights of his presidency, and then the assassination, and then we move on, and I usually kind of, we'll talk about it on question 10 with the speculation of his assassination. I don't go into a lot of detail, and I don't let a lot of class discussion happen on it because it's never going to appear on a test, unfortunately. I have to teach that way.
Well, her video, if you are interested in this, is absolutely chock full, and I think she did an amazing job with putting lots of fun historical, like, we're history nerds here. All the fun history built into these questions is awesome. So let's get started. And I'm going to start off with mispronouncing things. I'm terrible at this. #1, 10 of us and one more. Rose and Joe Sr. had a boat called 10 of us to signify the 10 members of the Kennedy clan. With the birth of Ted, the family named another boat One More. What book with a large cast of characters would you recommend?
I think I've used this one before in some venue. I don't remember what video it was, but I've talked about it, my love for Robert Jordan. But The Eye of the World has a great cast of characters with Perrin and Matt and Rand and Egwene, and there's so many characters that are in that book, and they're all so unique, and I like that it is reminiscent of like The Hobbit and, Tolkien and everything, but I like how Jordan just didn't make them stupid country bumpkins. Like, they're not just going to go, hey, we're going off to an adventure. Like, they question Moriana or Moraine. I don't know how to say your name correctly. But, yeah, it's a good book. I like the cast of characters.
My initial response was a fantasy book as well. And I was like, you know what? Dude, there's going to be tons of people putting fantasy books for this one. Like, what's a literary fiction with a lot of characters? And I was like, huh. It's actually kind of hard to think of because usually there's goes very deep on one character, not like a whole bunch. But have you ever read Catch-22?
No, I don't think I have.
Dude, get me a map of all the characters. There's so many damn things. It's probably been 15, 20 years. I might not have finished that book. I might have been like, I'm done with this book. I will come back to it when I have a character guide. Like... If I recall correctly,
you need a YouTube video.
Well, watch us go back and do this book again. And I'm like, there's only 10 characters. It's been that long.
Young Uno was stupid Una.
I was not very good at the reads, so
at the analysis.
All right, #2, PT 109. What is your favorite book featuring a harrowing survival, rescue, or war story?
This was my diorama book that I read and made a little diorama all by my lonesome in the 5th grade. I got 3rd place, and it was based off of Hatchet by Gary Paulson. I absolutely loved that book of the little kid, having the adventure all on his own, and all he had, was his few supplies and his hatchet to survive. And I love that book, and it gives me the good, nostalgia feels.
Yeah, I read that one too. You know what I would have thought you would have put for rescue?
What?
Player piano. because Paul needed rescuing from Anita. Am I right? Like,
Oh, yes, he did. Yeah. In more ways than one.
All right, number 3, Addison's disease. What is your favorite book that deals with disease or the medical field?
Now, this isn't my favorite, but it's one that I've read several times because it's not required reading, but it is one that is used very often in conjunction with literature and history, and that's The Hot Zone. So we usually get those books donated to the school, so we'll have a class set, we'll all read it together. There's an audio version that you can give to students that are struggling readers, and it starts a lot of good conversations. But I had a backup answer for one of my favorite books that I don't know if I've ever mentioned is the Joe Ledger, I think, is the series. But the very first book is Patient Zero by Jonathan Mayberry, and I absolutely love those books. And it's all kind of about these apocalyptic type events that are happening, and the one guy, this superhero dude that has no powers, is going to save the day. And Patient Zero is a good start because it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse thing.
You know what I put was, I don't know if you watched our discussion on it, but I did a video on Chew, the Image comic. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I watched that one. You and Leslie.
So there's a pandemic that happens that kills millions of Americans because they ate chicken. So chicken becomes illegal. It's a personal nightmare of mine because I love chicken. All right, number 4, Camelot. What real or imaginary dynasty would you like to read more about?
I think you'll be happy with my choice here. I would love to learn more about the Han Dynasty or the Jin dynasties of China, because as growing up as a kid, I was so obsessed with the video games on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo, Romance of the Three Kingdoms with Lu Bu and Cao Cao and everything. And I've studied some time period for my AP World History classes, but I love the fascination of the warring kingdoms and tribes and how everything kind of broke down in China at the time period. So I would like to learn more about that.
Totally different era, but actually I was looking at recently a fantasy book that has to deal with the Opium Wars in China. So it's a fantasy book based in that era, inspired by that era, I guess I should say, that I thought was kind of interesting. We should talk about that off camera to see if that would be, a good fantasy one to jump into next. Now, my answer actually is fantasy for this one. I put The Way of Kings, actually, which I know we didn't have like the highest review of, but I'm super interested to learn more about that world, specifically Seth. Heck yeah, that guy was awesome. And Team Dalinar, what up? So in my opinion, that would be something I'd love to dive more into. Number 5, High Hopes. Frank Sinatra re-recorded the song for Kennedy's 1960 presidential campaign. If you ran for office, what would your campaign song be?
Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 by Pink Floyd. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone.
All right, number 6. We chose to go to the moon. Name the last book you read that was set in space.
I thought about this one. You and I have the same book, Thrawn, but that's actually not true. Sort of, if we get to cheat a little bit, which we always do here. What did we read this morning?
I was going to cheat for this one. How could you cheat on this one for me?
Of course you're going to cheat on this one because we're the same person, basically.
Yeah, all right. What was your cheat answer then?
It was Blackest Night. We read it this morning.
Oh, that's
comic
true.
book. It's set in space. The lanterns.
Right. Yeah, I have been reading the Green Lantern Blackest Night series.
Yeah.
That is true. That definitely beats, you were going to say Thrawn, Greater Good, right? Now, I'm going to do a throwback because I was like, well, what's our non-Star Wars answer to this? And then I guess I should ask you because you apparently have a better memory than me. I can't even remember what I read this morning, apparently. Excluding Star Wars, what is the last book based in space you and I read? And I could be wrong on this.
Artemis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was Artemis.
Yeah.
I actually really like that one, but our friend like Angela at Literature Science Lunch pans it. Can't stand jazz. And I'm like, can't like
what?
Jazz
that book was amazing. Man. And the audio book with Ahsoka, not Ashley Eckstein, but the girl that actually plays
Ahsoka. That's she plays older Ahsoka. That's right. I forgot. Memory. Rosario
Dawson. Yeah,
Yeah,
she is
she
the
narrates that.
voice narrator for that book and is amazing in it. And I loved that book. That book was a great. Andrew Weir
I
just
do.
is so good.
I do.
Wow. I'm really surprised she didn't like that.
I really liked it, but I think she said that the main character graded her a little bit. I can understand. She was definitely sassy, right? And if you don't appreciate that, there's probably more to her opinion. I would link her video. I'll just link to her channel. I would link to her video if I could remember which one it was. It was like, I think when she first started BookTube. She probably doesn't want me to point to that video.
Like,
right,
don't go watch
7.
our gunslinger video.
Right. Hey, don't watch our Of Mice and Men talk. That is.
Oh, it's grating.
All right, number 7, coconut. The coconut shell JFK carved a rescue message on during the PT-109 incident was encased in plastic and used as a paperweight in the Oval Office. Do you have any neat items or mementos?
I do. And side note, that is one of the fun little facts that I tell my students about JFK, of him getting rescued and that being on his desk. And I show the picture. I'm like, look, there's the coconut, the one that they found. And they always think that's really cool. So sometimes those little, neat stories help them remember some more important details about World War II. But I think
Carrie just teased getting like the coconut for her channel too. She's like, hey, I got the coconut. And then she didn't show it. Can you believe that? Like, petition time, people. Like, we need this coconut in our lives. Am I right?
Oh, for sure. So I do have my little knick-knack here, but a little bit of story. So I've been teaching for 15 years now, and when I got into teaching, I wasn't the most patient of individuals, and my mother and my sister kind of always teased me about that of, how are you going to survive teaching kids and being with them all the time? Because I had a short temper, and at the end of my very first year teaching...
what do you mean, had a short temper? It's gone?
I'm better about my temper, and I've become much more patient with students and working with them and understanding and being empathetic with them. I've come a long way in 15 years, but at the end of my first year, my sister, as kind of a gift, got me my own Bobble Head, because I love bobbleheads, and I have a whole bunch of different bobbleheads from different Star Wars and all kinds of different movies and shows and everything. And this is my bobblehead. That's me, and she got a picture of me, a much younger version of me. She sent a picture into a website, and they make your own bobblehead. So there it is. So it's kind of neat. So that's what I have sitting on my desk at school.
Well, geez, thanks. Now that ruins my Christmas idea that I was going to get you. Gah.
You can get an older version of me with a full beard, because that just has a goatee.
What a scandal, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen. Number 8, scandal. What personal or political scandal would you like to read more about?
I would love to know more about Kathleen Kennedy. See what I did there? And Star Wars and Disney. This is JFK. I would love to know more behind the scenes stuff of all the inner workings, what's going on between Lucasfilm and Disney and Star Wars and all that, and the stuff with everything. Ooh, that's probably some juicy gossip there.
Dude, you just want to know who to blame for the travesty known as Episode 8 of Star Wars, is what I think.
Yeah, the movie that we do not speak of around here. And the whole thing of, like, I get it. They spent $4 billion or whatever it was buying the rights from George Lucas, and they needed to make money ASAP. I get it. I understand it. But I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in some of those pitch meetings of the decisions they were making and the choices that they made. And now they're trying to retcon everything with, the amazing TV shows. I love Bad Batch. I love Mandalorian. It's, and the Marvel stuff they're putting out is fantastic too. So I would love to be back in 2015 when they were making some of these decisions after they acquired the rights to Star Wars.
Number 9, Peace Corps. What book made you a better person?
So I think there's always the cheesy answers of, the Giving Tree that I've talked about, or The Places We Will Go, Where the Sidewalk Ends. I think probably one that is very common for a lot of people to put life in perspective is Uncle Tom's Cabin. Wow, that book's a game changer. It really does bring to heart how rough life was for people in the 1800s that were slaves. And for me, it makes me want to be a more caring and compassionate person. And that really hits you in the feels. Not only historically is it monumental, but it just shows it goes to show what people endured and how easy I have it as a person in 2021.
That or the Easy Baked Donut Cookbook, because when you eat donuts, it makes you a better person. So either one of those. It's kind of a toss-up if you ask me.
Wow! Cut all of this. Delete.
It's really good. I don't know if I've ever fully expressed on this channel my obsession with donuts. Like, do you guys know about my donut obsession? Like, in terms of like when I go to a new place, like the first thing I look up is where do I go get donuts? Like, I have to try local donuts. Like, that's like my jam.
Interesting. Do you know that I don't?
Have I never told you that story?
No, but you tell me, and then I'll tell you how I feel about donuts.
No, I mean, it's not like, I mean, I have to tell you about a story about every place that I go to. Like, when Christy's father found out that I was obsessed with donuts, like, they're like, oh, well, we got to go to this donut place. And it was awesome. Like, I was really, like, I got Frosted Flakes donuts. I got donuts with pretzels on them. Like, I love trying just, like, lots of different types of donuts. And the best is when I went to Outer Banks area, like out on the East Coast, they've got a bunch of different donut places, but one of my favorite places to go to is called Duck Donuts, for those people that out on the East Coast that know about that. And what I loved, and I knew my son was going to have this reaction because he loves donuts too, is we went in to Duck Donuts, and it's got one of those machines that just like boop, like it's a machine that just boop, just poops out donuts. It's a donut pooping machine, right? And it just poops it out. And it goes down this little conveyor belt where it gets fried, and then you get it, and you get to decorate it with whatever you want. And my son thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And I was like, I am such a good dad.
I feel bad. I should have known this, and you didn't ever directly tell me this, but when we hung out many years ago at the theme park, you were very adamant about going to the Homer Simpson donut place, remember? Right there at the end when we were leaving, and we went there and we got like the $8 donuts, and I was like, oh my God, I just spent $8 on a donut. And I remember you being very, very excited. Yeah.
Donuts, they're so good. So good. Who knew that in question 9 would reveal my fetish with donuts? Okay, number 10 conspiracy.
Hold on. So I want to break your heart here. Anytime there's donuts at school, they'll be donated because there are a whole bunch of old donuts, or, administration will buy us donuts for something, or, parents will donate them or whatever. And there'll be donuts in the admin, and I'll go in there and I open up the donut box. And do you know what I do?
You throw it out?
Nope. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't waste. If someone else wants to get diabetes, that's fine. I smell them. And then I walk away, because if you smelled it, you've tasted it. I'm always very impressed with my own willpower, because I do love donuts; they are delicious. But I'll just open a box and I'll give it a good sniff, and then I close the box and I walk back to my classroom.
Dude, if we were like at the same school, like once a week, I would bring you donuts, specifically you. I'd be like, hey, I brought you some donuts. You're like, oh, dude, I don't eat them. And like when the camera cuts back to me, my mouth is already full of a donut. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
I would grab the extra donut and give it to you because I love you.
All right, question 10, conspiracy. What are your thoughts on the Kennedy assassination?
I think that it was old Lee by himself. I don't subscribe to any of the conspiracy theories, and I personally think it's fun, but I mean it's fiction. I don't want to say it's nonsense, because it is fun, it's entertaining, it makes good movies or discussions, but there's not a lot of historical actual evidence that can be put together that would give any credibility to, you know, the conspiracy theories in my mind. I've seen too many times where people take these, you know, very loose ideas and try to mash them together, like the ideas of the assassination of Kennedy and Lincoln. And I've seen emails and students have brought me this big, oh, have you seen this? You know, like there's all these cool things, like they're linked. And I'm like, no, they're not. You're drawing conclusions and fallacies where there are none. Because it sounds good in your mind, in my humble opinion.
I can feel, like, I imagine, like, Carrie is reaching through the camera right now and just, she wouldn't tell you, but she's going to grab your hair and just yank it around a little bit, because if you watch her video, she's so passionate about this one. She goes off. I love it. Go watch her video. Don't watch ours, because we're not as passionate about JFK. As she is. So go check out her video. We implore you, subscribe to her, all that fun stuff. You know, usually there's like a question at the end, like, who do you tag? If you're still watching at this point, we tag you. Go. We'll tag a couple people, like Alan from Big Hard Books and Classics. I don't think I've seen you do this tag.
Oh, okay. Here's a good one. I want to see what Angela thinks about the space answer, and I want to hear why she hates Artemis so much. So you're tagged.
All right, guys. Thank you for subscribing. Hint, hint, if you haven't already, get that button pressed. And watching this video all the way till this moment. I have been your tour guide, Una. Thank you for flying CodeX Cantina Airlines.
Patreon.
We Patreon. We post Patreon links down below and post videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you.
Beep boop bop boop. Peace.